If you're like most folks, I bet you get a little uncomfortable when people describe you or accuse you of being unkind. You don't like to be called unkind, or you don't want to think of yourself as unkind. I think that this is a real problem, and I want to get clear on what kind of kindness I want to be and what kind of kindness I don't want to be. When I look at a word like kindness, I see a loaded term. It sounds positive. We should all be kind always, okay? But then I try to unpack it because it's loaded. I want to figure out, okay, all right, what exactly do we mean by it? And I'd say there's a family of words. It includes kindness, loving, caring, empathic, sympathetic, charitable. The golden rule fits in here too. All of those words, if you actually strip them of their loadedness, they all sound positive, come down to accommodation. That is, if you're talking about being kind to someone, you're talking about accommodating them. All right, now step back from all that loadedness and ask yourself, do you want to always be kind to everyone? Do you want to always accommodate everyone? The golden rule suggests you should, but I think it's actually a paradox. If everybody accommodated everyone, no one would have to accommodate anyone. No, I don't want to be kind to everyone. I do not want to accommodate everyone. I don't think it's possible. I don't think we can, will, or should. And therefore, notice what I've done. I've neutralized myself from the kind of bullying people suggest when they accuse you of being unkind. They're saying basically, accommodate me. And I think we lose a lot of strategic ground by missing the point, by listening to the loading rather than thinking about what the word means. Now, I do want to be a kind of kindness, but it's not the one where you accommodate everyone. The kind of kindness I embrace is that I am of the same kind as you and everybody else. We're all humans. Nothing human is foreign to me. Whatever you do, I do to some degree too. I find that kind of kindness, where we admit that we're all members of humankind, to be exactly where I want to drive any conversation I have, any argument, any debate, any dealings with a Trumpist. I am trying to get them to come off their high horse and meet me human to human. That's what I'm after. It's a kind of intimacy, but not the intimacy we associate with humanism and dignity and we all respect each other because we're all good people. No, actually, to me, the height of intimacy, the height of kindness, human to human, is laughing at each other with each other. That you get to laugh at me and I get to laugh at you, and I'm laughing at me and you're laughing at you. Notice that that's the embrace of our human kindness and the fact that we're all stuck in the human condition. So I am deeply committed to a kind of human to human irony. That's what it is, to laugh at myself with them laughing at me and vice versa. Now notice that that is not what you're going to get from a Trumpist. What they want to do is laugh at you from their high horse. They are laughing down at you, and they have learned that through the Trump rallies, what I call we glee, the glee of being us up on our high horses, not like those losers with TDS out there who don't agree with us. They are trying to laugh down at us. And you hear this in all their trolling comments. The quantity of LOL they use, like they're laughing at you, they're laughing out loud at you, they're laughing performatively at you, if you take that as anything more than just an acronym, a mindless acronym that they pulled out of high school mean girl talk, whatever. Anyway, so laughing down at us from their high horse is their fun. So that is a real challenge for us. And here's how I deal with it. I laugh at me with them. I engage in a lot of ironic, self-effacing humor. And you'd think that that would make me more vulnerable to their laughing at me. But actually it doesn't. because I'm laughing at me in a way that makes it neutralizes their capacity to laugh down and shame me. That is, if they accuse me of being unkind, I can laugh at my own unkindness. Yeah, I am unkind sometimes to people who I should be kind to, but I'm also a human being, and I take my preferences pretty seriously. And so, yeah, there are times when I am unkind to other people. And so if I can laugh about that with them, it actually puts them in a vulnerable position. Because then the question is, can they tolerate laughing at themselves with me? They don't seem readily inclined that way. So to give you an example, I'm talking to one of my friends who's a Trump supporter, and he's laying out his principles and all of this stuff, and I'm giggling in the background. And he says, you're sneering at me. That's unkind. And I say, of course I'm sneering at you. I find what you're saying laughable. Just like you sneered at me earlier. You know, we are humans. We do this stuff. When we find something laughable, we laugh at it. There's a kind of invitation. Go ahead, laugh at me. I'm laughing at you. I'm also laughing at me. So I'm encouraging that kind of capacity. Remember, if you've watched one of my prior videos, I talked about inverse projection. This is a technique I've developed. It's not a surefire technique at all, but it's one that I find useful. It would be a place where I accuse them indirectly. I assume that they are doing a thing that I've done before. And I refer to it not by saying, you're doing this thing, but by assuming that they're doing it, by telling the story of me doing it. So an example would be, oh no, I totally get where you're coming from. Do you remember how I swooned over that spiritual claptrap back in the 90s? Do you remember when I fell infatuated for that girl? I mean, I see you doing the same thing. I see your man crush on Trump, and I can relate because I've done something similar myself. That's an example of the kind of invitation to meet human to human, to be kind, not as accommodating. I will not accommodate these people who are trying to take down our 250-year-old democracy, but I am of the same kind. And if you can get there, you've got a kind of invulnerability that will serve you well and also serve your civic duty. We need to be able to talk to these people. We need to be able to yank them off their high horse without the temptation to mount the steed in their stead. That's where the self-effacing ironic humor is crucial for me. It's a way of demonstrating vulnerability, inviting vulnerability, and not tolerating any of their feigned invulnerability and infallibility. That's what it's about. Now, how do you get to a place where you're comfortable doing this? First of all, I got to say, it's easy for me because of the life I live. So if you are someone who has to perform at high status levels, that is really mind your P's and Q's on the job all day, and then maintain your status as a decent person, as a kind person, all of that sort of stuff, you don't get as much freedom to engage in the self-effacing humor as I do. And all I can say is, I still think it's worth aiming there for the situations where you can use it. So you may not be able to talk to your boss in a way where you're making fun of yourself, because that'll actually leave you vulnerable and might actually put at risk keeping food on your table. Then again, you're probably not going to confront them if they're Trumpists either. If you're able to do it, the way you do it is by a kind of pre-grieving. First of all, you pre-neutralize the loaded terms like kindness. You stop treating it like it's an always good thing, and you start thinking about it as accommodation, and then you start to be more selective about where you're kind, and that way if they attack you about it, you won't get defensive. But you also end up pre-grieving the possibility that you are doing anything that humans do. Have you ever dealt with someone who basically says, "Moi? How dare you accuse me of this thing that humans do?" So you have to be able to neutralize that. An example would be, I'm about to turn 70. I'm assuming that at some point here, I am going to become a bloviating, tedious rambler who talks like an old man who thinks that his ideas are fresh when they're actually incredibly old? I mean, I'm just assuming because that's what kind of happens with age. At some point you get to that point. So I'm busy pre-grieving that. And the standard joke, because people tease me, my daughter teases me, she says, "You might become that?" No. So that's exactly the kind of teasing that you absorb, where you start to say, your mantra becomes, "Nothing human is foreign to me. I wouldn't put it past me," was my first mantra when I entered this work. I wouldn't put it past me to do anything that humans do. Questions of degree matter. Questions of where you point that thing. For example, where am I going to be unkind? Huge issue. And how unkind am I going to be? And this is this again is the kind of kindness that means accommodation. Like, where will I be non-accommodating and to what degree? All of those questions matter. But in terms of how dare you accuse me of doing the thing that every human being does, you gotta neutralize that. And it's also your power, because these guys will pick up on any place where you feel sensitive. Like, if you feel like you got to be kind all the time, they're going to pick at you around that, because it's a way to erode your self-confidence from atop their high horse. So in general, just summarizing what I'm saying, this is a time when we've got to drop this assumption that kindness, meaning accommodating everyone, is the solution. Because the Trumpists are demanding that we accommodate them on everything, and we have been vulnerable because of that. We have backed off because they accuse us in so many words of being unkind. So got to drop that meaning of kindness. At the same time, this is the time to recognize that we are all of the same kind, and that they are grandstanding from atop their high horse as if they're some superior kind. And so we have to deal with that, and I am suggesting a paradoxical solution. Don't get defensive. Don't try to mount their high horse. Don't try to out-moralize them. Neutralize these terms. Figure out what they really mean. What do we mean by caring? What do we mean by kindness? What do we mean by love or woke or any of these things? I was talking to a Trumpist yesterday, a good friend, who uses woke just to mean whatever he doesn't agree with. So getting him to unpack that term, not just as anything I disagree with, is a great move. It's a great move. But do these moves in a teasing, self-effacing, ironic way where the eyes are on the prize, which is to get you and your conversation partner to laugh at and with each other. I consider it the best lubricant for any kind of social interaction. It's what I seek in all of my conversations. And the way to pursue that is by self-effacing humor. And it's got to be in your bones. You cannot just use the standard lines that make the humble brags. You've got to feel it in your bones. And for that, you've got to appreciate the advantages of laughing at and with each other, not in a flippant way, but where you're recognizing that we're all trying to figure out where to be kind, where to be unkind, questions of degree, all of that sort of stuff. That's where the humans meet, and we will make mistakes. And you have made mistakes. And so if you can actually bring up your own mistakes, they might get on their high horse and say, yeah, you see, you just admitted that you could be wrong, and I feel you, man, you are wrong. They could sucker punch you for that, but not if you have cultivated the neutrality on these terms and a capacity to actually laugh at yourself. I have never found a better social lubricant than laughing at myself, and from the heart, because I actually think I'm a bit of a hoot. I mean, I'm dead serious, and I'm also a buffoon. I live with both of those sides of me. And man, the things I have gotten away with saying to people, because they know that I see my own fallibility. So they may know that my argument to them is just my opinion, but I have to demonstrate to them that I know that it's my opinion, that it's a guess, that it's potentially fallible. And if you have that capacity to see yourself silly and see that you are another human groping for better bets, you have a power that you're not using, which is that you can also laugh at them. They can laugh at you. You're okay. You won't get defensive. Maybe they'll see that they can laugh at themselves, that it's actually cooler. It's actually more badass to be able to laugh at yourself than to be up on your high horse, which is really not a high horse. These are scared chimps who have run up into a tree and are tossing feces down at you because they are feeling so vulnerable. So showing your own vulnerability is a way of saying, come on in, man, the water's fine. We're just humans. We're trying to figure out what's right. Get off your high horse. Don't worry, I'm not going to climb on the steed in your stead. Okay, so that's a thought about something to try. And let me know if you have any ideas about it, critiques, all of that stuff. Let me know if you think that there's something fundamentally flawed about me. Test this out. Kick the tires on this boy. See if I can run with you, if we can play together. All right? Thanks. See you next time.